Let's start with a really important concept that seriously affects learning potential: cognitive load. Brain scientists talk about two metaphorical areas of the brain, the working memory and long-term memory, both of which have very different capacities. They are metaphorical because they aren't actually physical areas in the brain, but they help explain the way we process or encode information and then how we recall or retrieve it again. The two need each other, but they have very different characteristics. The working memory processes new information, but it is limited in how much it can do that. The reason is quite smart. If it could process everything around us, we would be overwhelmed by the amount of content and stimuli. Because your working memory is limited, this is why it's so important to apply your attention to the content you want to learn and to block out distractions. When we think about an idea or information in our working memory that we decide is useful to us, it begins the process of transferring it into the long-term memory. We can do this almost to infinity, as the long-term memory appears to be limitless. And it is where your memories of things that you have paid attention to throughout your life are now stored, whether you can recall them now or not. But it's not just a one-way street. The long-term memory plays a large role in supporting the working memory. Whenever we encounter something new, the working memory searches the long-term memory to see if it can connect to anything in there to help process or make sense of what it is now experiencing. If the search is successful and a connection is made, it eases the pressure off the working memory. If it can't, the working memory begins to feel overworked and stressed. And if there are more than 4 competing stimuli at one time, it metaphorically freezes. That's when learning becomes impossible. You'll be able to recognize this in so many of your own experiences. Consider anything that you have tried to learn from the beginning: reading, riding a bike, playing an instrument, learning maths. Everything to do with these things at the start was slow. Improvement took a long time. But eventually, your knowledge of all the small steps it takes to get good at something were learnt and moved into the long-term memory. Each step now automatically supports the working memory, so it can focus on the next harder skill. The implication for this in terms of learning is enormous. The more knowledge you have in the long-term memory about a topic, then the more it helps reduce the pressure on the working memory when new related content is introduced. So, this is why your lecturer or tutor is insistent on you participating in all the activities presented. Each time you do, you are adding to and building your knowledge, which, as we have seen, helps you to acquire even more knowledge.